Hello, and welcome to Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo,
I'm Nick.
and it's a very special episode today, guys. Episode 50 of Pressing Buttons, baby. We made it. We made it to 50. You know, who would have thunk it? We made it to 50. Now,
Not a lot of people.
there are not a lot of people. Actually, well, we can't say that. It's not like they were rooting against us. They just weren't rooting.
I would say most of our friends are absolutely rooting against us all the time.
In a positive way.
Yeah, it's in a very trolling way, but yeah.
But yeah, we made it to episode 50. Imagine we were supposed to have party hats and horns and stuff like that, and a big celebration of 50. Yay! But because of scheduling circumstances, we ended up doing a remote show, so we couldn't do our normal spiel.
Maybe for the next one, can we get one of those Dominican cakes?
Oh yeah, get a little Dominican cake with some nice words in there. Happy 50th, scumbags, or something like that.
What kind of cake is it again?
It's a tres leches cake.
That's right, yeah.
But yeah, episode 50. We're super glad we made it to 50, and we're gonna keep going. Obviously, imagine if we just retire at 50. That's it. We're out of here. You gonna say something?
Nope. I was going to say maybe like legally it would be 62, right? Is that the
retiring age?
Yeah.
Well, what's 64? Yeah, they're bringing
64?
it to 62. Yeah, they're bringing it down to 62, which is
Really?
in the real world. That's why everybody's mad.
I thought don't people live longer on average now? So wouldn't they want to make it longer?
They don't want to pay you. Anyways, we're not that type of podcast. Anyways, yeah, episode 50. Super excited. We made it to 50. We've always been improving. So yeah, super proud of that. Can't wait to make it 100 and be a century. So yeah. The good news is this week we actually got some video game news that is exciting. I know the last couple episodes after our state of the game for 2023 and our anticipated games for 2023, the couple episodes after that, we kind of had slow news weeks, so we didn't have a lot of stuff to cover. But luckily this week we got some exciting video game showcase from Xbox. We had them do a showcase on Wednesday, I believe it was, the 25th. And we were able to see a bunch of cool games that they've announced for a while. We got to see more footage from them. The first one being Redfall. They announced the release date for Redfall, which is going to be May 2nd. Obviously, this is made by Arcane, who are known for Deathloop. They're known for Prey. They're known for Dishonored. So very exciting stuff. It looks really fun. It looks like Left 4 Dead, just with vampires instead of zombies, and you'll be able to have some powers to deal with them. I'm super excited for this game. One of the few from the showcase that I'm really excited about, just because I want that multiplayer game. I want that game to play with my friends, and we pick different classes and we do missions. I know like Call of Duty Zombies is very popular, so this to me is something like that, but just with the supernatural powers, to get a good nice group going. Super excited for people to get it and myself to play it. The powers look really awesome. You're able to get invisibility. Each character has kind of like their own type of specials that they do. You have sniper and just different stuff. So I'm super excited for it. Definitely, they need this. I would say, just because they need to bring more people into their console, into their ecosystem. And a game like this definitely draws in a crowd, because obviously we want to play with our friends and all that stuff. What did you think of Redfall, the showcase, the showing?
Looks fun. I think we said in one of our recent few episodes, we're desperately craving online cooperative multiplayer games. So I think this fits that bill very well. It comes up pretty soon. Looks fun. I'm interested in the Left 4 Dead formula. Left 4 Dead meets vampires formula. So we'll see how it ends up playing. But definitely going to check it out. Will this be your re-entry into Game Pass, or would you just buy the game standalone?
You know me, I will probably just buy the game standalone. I don't want to pay for a subscription that I don't use, like my Final Fantasy 14 subscription. So
Which you have you canceled that yet?
no, but I just forget. I forget
I think
every
you've paid.
time.
You've paid.
Like a year.
Yeah, you've paid for that longer than I have, and I actually beat the entire game.
I
Well,
keep
not the entire
forgetting.
game, but most of it.
I keep forgetting, and I also keep telling
Just
myself that I'm going to
do it
go
now.
back in and finish
Do
it.
it.
Well,
Do it on air. Do it. While we're recording.
no, that'll
What's
take so much time. I'll do it after.
okay?
But I keep telling myself I'm going to go back into it. But it's the same thing. It's the Game Pass stuff for me. I don't think I would use it enough. Obviously, I've been playing a lot of different games lately, but my goal is to actually play as little games as possible because I want to finish this games that I'm playing so I could move on to the next game. Um, so I think I'm just going to buy it instead of Game Pass it.
Because the reason I asked is because for me, Redfall is a great Game Pass title. It's not something that I probably wouldn't buy it standalone. But I'm because it's part of the bundle. I'm happy to give it a whirl, and if I end up really liking it, great. If not, I'm not too upset about it. But I haven't really seen much, again to just buy it outright. So, but it sounds like to you think there's a shot. You think there's
Yeah,
a chance you buy it day one?
yeah, just because it's the multiplayer aspect of it, and I've always liked arcane games. I mean, I like Prey, I like Dishonored. I didn't get to play Deathloop, but I know that got great reviews, story wise and gameplay wise. So I'm confident that it's going to be a game. And obviously, with the talk of Game Pass, this is the year. We were talking about last year that Game Pass really wasn't worth it, in a sense, because there were all these promises that they were making about games being released day one with all these publishers that they acquired. It didn't come into fruition last year, obviously, because a lot of games got delayed and they were working on them. But this is the year. This is the year, and I guess it starts with it starts with a game we'll talk about a little bit later. But these are the games you expect to come out day one, release on Game Pass, and that this is why you do this, because you want those subscribers to flock to Game Pass. It's not going to move me, but I get the strategy.
Well, if you cancel your Final Fantasy 14 subscription and subscribe to Game Pass, you're saving $5 every month.
That's true. Did we get like a sponsored by Game Pass thing? Well, I wasn't aware of. Are you getting paid because you're shilling
No,
this a lot?
well, we're talking about the Xbox Showcase.
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
what do you expect?
I think it's just honestly with how cheap I can get the games on like CD Keys or something like that, or Green Man Gaming if I go there, and my PlayStation Plus catalog and all that stuff. I just feel like it's gonna go the way of me spending money that I don't really need. In a sense, I know I'm spending money on Final Fantasy 14 and I haven't canceled it. That's just me being lazy. I do need to cancel it, and then I'll save $15 a month for whatever it is. But I think it's just it'll be the same thing. It's like my Netflix subscription. I barely watch Netflix anymore, and I'm still paying for it. So I might as well do away with it. I just had to stop being lazy and pull the trigger and remember. And I'll remember now. The next one we wanted to talk about is Minecraft Legends. It's a new multiplayer action strategy game, not to be confused with Minecraft Dungeons, which is a Diablo-like
Which
action
is
game.
exactly what I did. I thought it
Yeah,
was some new version of Minecraft Dungeons. Like I thought it was an expansion on that, but it's
yeah,
a completely separate game. I think if you think of Minecraft Dungeons as like the Diablo, clone or whatever, like this seems to be more StarCraft clone or that type of game.
yeah. This seems to have PvP. It also seems to have PVE, and then as well as building. It looks pretty fun. I've never been really a big Minecraft guy. The base game itself, I did think dungeons look really fun just because of, like you said, the the Diablo aspect of it, different classes going through the dungeons and its action capabilities. This looks fun, I think, for the people that enjoy it. Shout outs to Ollie, our one of our secret producers. I'm pretty sure he'll enjoy it. It's one of those things he likes to do, building. I know you like to build stuff too. You like your Dragon Quest builders, so these are right up your alley.
Yeah, I love building, just not on Fortnite for some reason.
Hashtag no building.
Hashtag zero building.
All right. Did you want to say anything else about this one?
I'll check it out. I think it'll probably be similar to Minecraft Dungeons when that game came out. I was just trying to get people, not that I'm a big Minecraft fan by any means, but it just seemed like a relatively simple and fun multiplayer game. So I thought that was the sell right there. But for whatever reason, I just couldn't get people interested into it because I think they're just like, it's Minecraft, and I don't play the main game, and so I don't know. I'll probably have similar challenges trying to get people excited to play Legends, but I'll definitely try it. There is a single player campaign, I believe, so at a minimum, I'll just check that out, and hopefully I can get some people to jump on board with checking out the multiplayer.
And that's the other thing. I was actually talking to one of the guys on Discord, Ace, in terms of like, you want to play a new game and you want to play with your friends, but to convince all your friends to kind of migrate and choose this one game over all the other games that they could be playing is kind of tough. I don't think this is the game for that. I don't think this is the game that will bring a crazy amount of people into it, but I think it'll be enough where you could get 2 or 3 people and then you can play with them.
Well, that's 100% of my friends, so that's why it's tough. It's tough for me.
Well, count me out.
Okay.
The good thing about all of these, which I forgot to mention, these are all, like I was saying, day one Game Pass. Redfall, day one Game Pass coming out May 2nd. Minecraft Legends, day one Game Pass. I believe that one comes out in April. I have to check the date. The next one that we're going to be talking about is Forza Motorsport. Me, not a big racing fan. Yeah,
I could feel the energy as you're.
Just feel the energy. I'm more of like these true driving sims. I'm not a big fan. I'd rather have something like Burnout Paradise or Need for Speed Street or something like that. I'm more of a fan of those than the Forza / Gran Turismo type of games. It did look great. Obviously, I think it's one of their best looking series. Whenever they show the trailers for any of these Forza games, whether it's Motorsport or whatever the other one is called, Forza Horizon. Yeah, whenever it's Motorsport or Horizon, they always look great. I know they always work really well to do the details on the cars, on the roads, on how you feel driving the cars. They always do a good job, and it's why it's one of the best selling car games. I know you're a big car guy, or like car sim guy. What do you think?
No, I mean, not really. I don't even know if I would say I'm a big car guy, but I do like cars quite a bit. I'm by no means, driving cars at the track or anything like that, but I do like cars. For whatever reason, I can never get into the racing simulation genre of games. Even going back to early PlayStation with the Gran Turismo franchise, I tried getting into Gran Turismo a bunch, and it's one of those things where like I'll play it for a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is cool, and then I never go like super deep into them. So, pretty similar with the Forza franchise, actually, where again, courtesy of Game Pass, we're just like, oh, let me just dick around with the Forza games for a couple hours and basically be done with it. So that's pretty much my experience with these. I mean, the game looks unbelievable, so I'm sure I'll download it, try it for a little bit. We'll see if it ends up clicking with me. What I'm more interested in is Gran Turismo on PSVR 2, and whether the virtual reality experience is something where I'm like, oh my God, like this is so incredible that I finally kind of stick with a racing sim game. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on, whether Gran Turismo VR is so incredible that actually is the conversion point for me to actually be interested in a PSVR 2. If not for that, then I'm basically not interested at all in PSVR 2.
So that's like your one card game for the year. I'm the same way because I think my one card game for the year I wanted to be Need for Speed Unbound, but I'm waiting for the price to drop before I purchase it because I heard it's good, not as good as Heat I would say or Street, but I'd rather play something like that than something like this. That'll be my one card game for the year.
Yeah, I think if I were to, I don't know exactly how much, but I definitely played Burnout and those types of games way more than simulation games. And yeah, is that that Need for Speed game you mentioned? That's the one that just came out maybe 2 months ago, 3 months
Yeah, two,
ago.
3 months ago, I believe in November, and it has
Yeah,
very street customization, also self shading aspects to it, which a lot of people like. So I want to give that a
yeah.
crack when it comes down in pricing,
Okay, well, let me know when you get it.
or on PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, all good stuff comes to PlayStation Plus, and I play them years later. Next game we want to talk about is The Elder Scrolls Online. They have a new expansion coming out called Necrom or Necrom. I don't know how to say that. It's a weird Elder Scroll words. Comes out June 5th on PC and June 20th on consoles. This is kind of big, maybe not in our world, but it is big in the video game world. Obviously, Elder Scrolls Online has been out for a while, I believe 6 or 7 years. They have about 20 expansions. They have a very thriving community. We unfortunately do not play the game as much, but it is good to see something like this where even though we're not the main audience and gamers for it, they still have crazy support. A lot of people keep playing it. If we ever did want to pick it up, we can also see that they have a lot of content to play. Just like Lost Ark, I would say, the MMO that I got into last year. It's good when you have these type of games where even if you're not paying attention to them or playing them, when you do want to give it a go, that you have so much content to look forward to, and if you enjoy it, you have a very very big staple of things to do. What do you think? Will you ever get into the Elder Scrolls? I think we both have that. We don't like the Skyrim Fallout aspect of it. Like it's too similar, and we don't play those type of games. We don't like those type of games.
Yeah, I mean, I've played. I mean, I think I've played every main Elder Scrolls game. Maybe not Daggerfall or yeah, I think that was the first one. But I think starting with Morrowind and every game after that. So I think I've played, and I haven't beaten all of them, but I beat a couple of them. So, but for some reason, I just never just that going into an MMO just isn't something that ever interested me, and mainly I think that's because I haven't been the biggest MMO fan just in general, and wasn't until recently, somewhat recently with Final Fantasy 14 where I kind of really got into a big MMO for the first time. So, and after when I knew I was going to wrap up Final Fantasy 14, I started kind of looking around to see if there was something that could fill that void. And so I did watch, YouTube videos and Twitch streamers of people playing the game, and it just didn't look that interesting to me. So, and I did watch some of the showcase footage, and I was like, I don't know, like to me it's just kind of like whatever, like it's just nothing that got me excited. So, so I don't know. That's me.
Yeah, it's somebody else's forever game. It's not ours.
Yeah.
Well, and then to finish off the showcase, the last one that we want to talk about, which I think is the best one, honestly, is Hi-Fi Rush. And this one is a brand new game done by Tango Gameworks. It released as they were announcing it, basically, as they were talking about it, which was pretty cool. I thought that was a big surprise and one of my favorite things about the showcase. It's obviously made by Tango Gameworks. They worked on Evil Within. They worked on Ghostwire Tokyo. The head of the studio, Shinji Mikami, worked on Resident Evil, worked on Dino Crisis, worked on Vanquish, and so on and so on. So it was kind of surprising to see them go off in a different direction. They had mentioned before that the game that they were working on, this being Hi-Fi Rush, was definitely going to be way different than all the other horror stuff that they have been doing. So it was a nice surprise to see. Obviously, since it got released right there and then, a couple hours after the showcase, it's been getting great reviews from everybody who's played it. Everybody's loving the combat, loving the animation of it, loving the story of it. It's very animated. I've seen a bunch of clips on it. It's super exciting. This also made me almost want to wish I had Game Pass, so I could play it. I think I'm gonna just wait a little bit more before once I finish a couple games that I'm playing before I play it myself. But I was shocked by this, but also really, really enjoyed this news, and the game looks great. I know you've been playing it, so tell me what you've been enjoying and how it's looking and all that.
Yeah, it was a great surprise. I'm a big fan of music and rhythm games. Uh, the the game just looks amazing. It's a very clean, probably one of the cleanest cell shading based games that I've seen. Um, the way I was kind of thinking about the game is it kind of reminds me of the Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter in terms of like the movement and the levels, and so it kind of reminds me of that, but it has a very vibrant cell shaded look. And there's also some story cues from, if you've seen the Scott Pilgrim, or I guess it's based on the comics, but also the movie. It has a bit of a Scott Pilgrim kind of boss, big bosses kind of story structure to it. And then all that's kind of wrapped into a rhythm based combat mechanics. So it's a pretty cool package. I'm very fascinated by them doing no marketing and just releasing the game the same day it's launched, because that basically never happens. Maybe that's happened uh, like a few times in like recent history. Generally, that was with, I would say, like smaller games. So I think a lot of people just kind of assumed that this was going to be a pretty lightweight game because of that. But I think people are pretty surprised that there's actually, it's not like a 60-hour game, but I think it's still like a pretty long enough game. And then apparently there's a lot of like post game stuff that you can do. So I think people are pretty surprised by how actually meaty this game is for something that was uh, shadow dropped, or whatever that term is. So
And then for this day and age, to I know they kind of the game got leaked in a sense a couple days before or the day before the showcase, but it didn't get leaked like that. It was going to get dropped right there and then, or any gameplay or anything. It was just the title itself. So that was very surprising in this day and age of how much leaks get on the internet and
yeah,
how
totally.
fast. I think the last game I remember that came out day and date after just getting announced and having such positive feedback, I think was Apex Legends, and that was also surprising. That one's more multiplayer. This one, where it's a single player game, where it's kind of easier for things to get released during the development cycle and stuff like that, was a very nice surprise, and I'm glad everybody's enjoying it. I can't wait to get my hands on it and play it myself. It looks great. It looks like everybody's having a good time. Also, I've been hearing contenders for one of the games of the year already in so early, which I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like it's fun. I'm only a few hours into it. Maybe it just keeps getting like way better. But I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think people are getting a little overexcited about
They
you
don't have
know.
enough to play.
Yeah. Like I think so. We'll see what happens. But I
Also,
do.
it's not even the end of January.
Yeah, exactly. So I think people are just looking for article headlines. I don't know, but so I think that might be a stretch. But I do think I've only played it a few hours, so I'm still very early. But it's really fun. It's just a fun game. It looks great, performs well. It's a fun mechanic. Uh, I actually like. I think people are. I think maybe we'll get into this a little bit later, but I think the story is kind of silly, but it's fun. It's like fun game, silly
It worked. Yeah, it
universe.
looks like it
Yeah,
works for the theme of the game.
yeah. And again, it kind of reminds me of the Ratchet and Clank style of writing. Um, so yeah, so I think that was definitely the biggest surprise of the show. It's getting a lot of critical acclaim, already. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that'll be the game I'm most focused on in the next week or so. I should be able to wrap that one up. Oh, and then there's also, I don't think this is really spoiling anything, but I was already enjoying the game, and then I think I guess it's like the first boss. I don't know, but it's like one of the first like major battles, and then there's a Nine Inch Nails song that they kind of build the level wrong, and I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, so I'm like, okay, this is my shit.
Chubs happen.
Chubs happen. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, so it was good.
Well, definitely a great surprise, and can't wait to get my hands on it. And that kind of wraps it up for what they showed off at the showcase. Definitely a strong showing. I did want to ask you something. I didn't put it on the show notes. I just thought about it right now. What did you think of the showcase itself? Did you think it was enough? I know a lot of people have been clamoring for more information from their games. They did, once they announced that they were doing this showcase, they obviously announced that they weren't going to show any Starfield, that's going to get its own showcase. But were you expecting more games? Were you expecting different games? I know there's a lot of games we haven't heard about for a while, like Fable or Setsuna, and stuff like that they've been working on, but they didn't really announce. Do you think this is enough to please people's appetite of like Xbox information, or do you think they should have done more, announced more stuff?
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question to you. So you stole my thunder. Like basically taking a step back, and what do we think about this as a format for delivering information on games coming out? I liked it. I personally like it. Where it depends on how many they can do a year. So if they're doing, call it once a quarter, or maybe they're doing somewhere between 3 to 5 of these a year. I think it could be a great format, because I really like the kind of more behind the scenes type content where they're in the studio, they're in their respective studio, and they're talking to a bunch of different people, and so I really like that content. Now, is that the only format that they should be doing? Probably not. I still think they probably need to have more of the traditional like hype announcement driven of just like, here's new stuff. So, whether that's at E3 or, whatever, like I still think they need to continue to do that. But I like this as a complementary, deep, kind of more like deeper dive. Maybe Hi-Fi Rush is kind of an outlier where like I don't think they're going to be able to do that, every time. But I think for a lot of the other games, it was stuff that we kind of already knew about, and they're just going a little bit deeper on it. Like I think so. I like the format.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it is a good format, especially having these developers show off the games in their studios, and you can kind of see the people working on it and how much love and passion they put into the game. And you are right. I think if it's something where it's a new announcement, where it's a new release, where it's a surprise, it's definitely done better in like the E3 showcases or the Game Awards showcases and stuff like that. I just think, like you said, the games the only one we didn't really know about was Hi-Fi Rush, which was a pleasant surprise. Everything else we did kind of know, and it was good that they showed off the gameplay of it and what's coming, and obviously the big draw of them all being on Game Pass and coming soon. But I do wish they did kind of have some new surprises. Just throw a couple new stuff in there besides Hi-Fi Rush. I know there's a lot of franchises people are waiting for, Fable, Gears, and anything new that people want to hear more about. But obviously, it's the beginning of the year, and I think you're right. If they do something of like a quarterly showcase, I think it'll please enough fans.
Yeah, and I know that might sound like a lot, but I lost count of how many studios they now own. It's like 30. It's some like crazy number of studios. So if they had 4 or 5 of them in this one, like it's not too ridiculous to expect to hear from a studio once a year, once every other year or something like that. So I think it actually is a format that could map pretty well to how many studios they actually own and operate.
Yeah. So definitely can't wait for more of this, more showcases. Obviously, we hope that they don't keep them few and far between. We want to see more of this. Quarterly is great. So make sure you got something up before E3. And I think we'll be good. And obviously, we haven't seen anything from Sony or Nintendo in terms of them talking about any showcase that they're going to do. It's the beginning of the year. Obviously, we want to see what the future lies in terms of at least 2023 for all everybody's major releases. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be hearing some news.
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed, 2023 is going to be a great year for releases, but I think it's also going to be a great year for learning about all these, early to mid development games. I'm sure someone's done this, but Microsoft, Sony have so many studios. We know very, very few of the games that all those studios are working on. And, Nintendo, we know basically know nothing about what they're working on. So presumably they have a ton of, a lot of games under development as well. So I think this year and next year are going to be we're going to be learning a lot around what to expect.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Like we said, we both feel like 2023 is going to be a good year for video games.
Yeah.
All right. And then speaking of new releases and such, we want to move on to our next topic. We want to talk about a little bit about the Dead Space remake that just got released and Forspoken that just got released. Obviously, Dead Space remake, it being a remake of a game that's been released a while ago. A lot of people weren't expecting a lot of big things out of it, but from what we've seen, it's been getting great reviews, especially the stuff that they've added to the game to make the game better. For the people who haven't played the game, who it's their first time picking it up, I think it's definitely a great experience, and it would feel to them like it's a new franchise. Whereas for people like me, who have played the original, I'm super excited to play it eventually once I beat a couple games, and I'm hearing great things about it. I'm super excited just because it also gives people, especially EA, like the motivation to maybe continue the franchise. It's one of those franchises where I feel like they haven't really made anything new since the third one came out, and this reinvigoration of fan enjoyment, I think will bring it to the forefront, and a lot of people will be hyped to play it. And then we have Forspoken, which is on the other spectrum of that, where it's been getting bad reviews and people have been bombing it. From what I'm hearing, I think, obviously, I'm a big proponent of games. I think all games are good. It's just different games for different people. I played the demo. I thought the combat was good. The parkour was good. The graphics were good. A lot of people are shitting on the dialogue, which, from what I'm hearing and from what I've seen, it's justified. But that in itself, I think it's unnecessary that it's been getting review bombed so much. It's not definitely a $70 game. I'm not going to pay $70 for it, but it's definitely a bargain bin game for me, and hopefully I can play it eventually. And it's one of those things where it's weird that the remake of an old game that's about 10 years old or whatever it is getting better review than a new release, new IP, new world, according to Square Enix. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think so. Starting with the Dead Space remake, I think has been exceeding people's expectations. Where I think maybe people were kind of viewing it as more of like a remaster type thing, where it's just like kind of clean up the graphics a little bit and call it a day. But it seems to be more than that. So for me, I'm pretty excited about that because I never played the original. I've heard, great things about it. So I don't know so based on the response to the game, I don't know if I need to buy it, tonight. But I think I might wait for it to show up on Game Pass, or maybe it's a little bit cheaper. I think the PC, I don't know if you saw this, but I think the PC performance is a little spotty right now. So I think that'd be another reason to maybe just sit tight for a little bit until it gets cleaned up.
Well, PlayStation 5, baby. PlayStation 5. It has no issues. It
Maybe
has also
maybe
haptic feedback. Like I've been hearing good things from my friend Kamui. He got it himself, and that's one of those things where it being a remake differentiates it from being a remaster. Obviously, we love our remasters. We love to play these old games that just get remastered with newer graphics and stuff like that. But whenever you do something like this, where it's a full remake, where you add extra content, make the gameplay better, makes certain sections better. The best example being obviously Final Fantasy Remake, where it's not the same game anymore. A lot of people thought it was just going to be updated graphics, updated combat system to a game. It introduced a whole story, a whole diversion of the story. So I think just it being something like that, I want to see more of that, especially any studios that want to do this in the future. I know Resident Evil 4 is coming out in a couple months, and that's going to be a remake in a sense as well. And I know from what I've been hearing that they did say that they're going to add extra content or it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm all for that as long as it makes the game better and it gives more content to the players.
yeah, maybe I could try it on PS5 because that'll give me a reason to turn on my PS5 again. I still got to beat God of War, but other than that, it'll basically be
I feel like
avoid.
there's like 5 or 6 games you probably have to beat on PlayStation that you forgot about.
I mean, so other than God of War, like it's basically I'm not playing anything on PS5 until Final Fantasy 16. I'm pretty sure.
Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe,
Because we do got a date for Ghost of Tsushima, which we'll talk
oh
about
yeah,
later.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay, yeah. So maybe that, but no. Usually, I would tell you to fuck off, and if there's a PC version, I'm gonna wait for the PC version. But I have heard, and I don't know if this is unique to just like PC performance in general, or if there's just like something complex about mouse and keyboard controls. But apparently, like mouse and keyboard controls on this game like aren't that great. So if I'm going to play the game with a controller anyway, and there's performance issues, maybe I'll just get it on PlayStation. I don't know, but either way, I'm probably not going to pick it up anytime soon. So I have some time to work through that decision. But I thought, just again, based on the feedback, the game went from, oh, that's cool, I'm glad it's out, but I'm not really that excited about it, to something that I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I do need to play that at some point. So, which can't be said for Forspoken, which I thought was going to be a turd of a game, just based on all the trailers or whatever.
You have no hope for anything at all.
I mean, I just like, it was just like, hey, they just took, the Final Fantasy 15 kind of combat, not exactly, but like to me, it just kind of looks like they've extracted some version of the battle system from Final Fantasy 15 and just kind of wrapped it around this other game. So I thought the game was going to be, not great to begin with, and then
You thought it was going to be booty. It is kind
exactly,
of booty.
yeah.
Everybody's been saying it's booty.
Yeah, and then so even before we get into this all, like everyone trashing the dialogue or whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, like I kind of expected this game to be like this. So I haven't learned anything new to suggest that I should actually try the game. If anything, I just learned more reasons to not play it. And yeah, so like because I knew I was not interested in this game, I've actually been enjoying this whole social media discourse around like just it's kind of like cheesy dialogue or whatever, and people getting all fired up about it, or people getting fired up about the people trashing the dialogue has been the thing that's been happening. So
Well, that's one thing, and we were talking about this earlier. Which, when it comes to video games, I think people take them too seriously in a sense. There's certain video games where, yeah, they want to be serious, and they want to pull out your heartstrings and stuff like that and take on serious topics. And obviously with these games, I don't think they're like that. We did talk about Stranger of Paradise that also has corny as heck dialogue, and we were just laughing at it throughout the game. But it still had fun gameplay mechanics in terms of combat and just seeing Final Fantasy characters that kind of do their own little twist to it. And then we also talked about Hi-Fi Rush, which you said kind of has the same dialogue where it's kind of corny, but it fits the aesthetic of the game in terms of the cell shading and cartoony and animated stuff. Whereas this one, I think, and it's one of the main things that people are putting up on Twitter and social media sites, which is the dialogue, which I think it's trying to take itself too seriously, and it's affecting the game in terms of where if it didn't take itself too seriously and try to be serious, it would kind of mash with the game, the gameplay, the action part of it, and all that stuff. So it's kind of funny. I don't care if it's a fun game, which I had fun playing the demo. I think I will get it on down the road. Square Enix, if you're hearing this and you want to send me a free code, I will play it when you send me the free code. Otherwise, wait till it's $10 and I'll pay $10 for it. But with these type of games, especially being new releases and stuff like that, I think they're just doing a lot of things to kind of hook people in. And in this day and age, it's hard to just kind of get the crowd with you and get everybody to buy your thing. We were talking about how this kind of reminds us of this 2001 movie Black Knight, starring Martin Lawrence, where he gets like transported back to medieval times. So he's like a modern day dude from 2001 in medieval times just doing all this crazy stuff. And it's kind of the same concept because it's this chick that's from modern times gets transported to some kind of medieval world with powers and stuff like that, and it's kind of outrageous. So I think you just have to have fun with it and make fun of it as opposed to be serious about it. So if it was more like Black Knight the movie, probably would have had a hit on their hands.
Yeah, you reminded me of that movie, and I don't think I've ever watched it, and I'm a big Martin Lawrence fan, so I'll probably be watching that movie tonight instead of starting Andor.
Always. No, but that's the thing.
Any excuse to not watch Andor?
Yeah.
No, but that looks funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It's like, why are people trashing this game's dialogue versus other games with also shitty dialogue? I don't know. I think it's like the context and the intent. Like, there's no way. Like, the Stranger of Paradise dialogue is so bad that it's like
it's so bad it's great.
It's so bad that it's like funny.
The
which
darkness, I can taste it. What was that?
The darkness is so thick I can taste it.
There you go. Like shit like that. It's just funny.
It's just so bad. And I don't think that was the intention with Forspoken, that they were trying to I don't know. It's tricky, but it's like one of those things you just kind of like know when you see it, where it's like, okay, like this is trying to be cool and edgy, and like this other thing is just bad writing. And I don't know, it's tough. I think what's the Spinal Tap quote, if you ever seen the movie Spinal Tap? Oh, okay. It's like something about there's a fine line between stupid and clever, something like that, and it's just like
that's a very fine line.
Yeah. It's like, there's a fine line. There's no other way to describe it.
Well, I'll make my own assumption. I'm gonna wait. It's probably gonna be a PlayStation Plus title, to be honest, more than like a Game Pass title. I feel like Game Pass, like this is not a Game Pass title, but definitely a PlayStation Plus title. I'll wait till it's out on PlayStation Plus and then I'll play it. I think I'll make my own assumption then, and I'll tell you guys about it. And one thing before we move on to closing thoughts, I wanted to touch on Dead Space. I know at the beginning of the year, or even before the year started, Dead Space was up there for me, at least, as one of the games I wanted to check out. I kind of wanted to check out Callisto Protocol more, just because it was a new game made by the same people. It's weird that Callisto Protocol got such a bad reception, it being a new game with the gameplay and all that stuff, that Dead Space remake got a better reception, even though it's a 7-8 year old game. Better just in terms of people enjoying it more, gameplay satisfaction, new content, and stuff like that. So I did find that kind of weird. So EA, please listen to this. People like single player games. People like studios that make single player games and innovate. So keep making single player games. At least on my end. That's my plea to EA.
Please.
Yeah. All right. And that does it for our topics. We're going to move on to some closing thoughts. I'll start it off. I've been playing some more Ghost of Tsushima.
I thought you were going to say Destiny. I was like, if you say Destiny, I'm going to...
Also Destiny. It's
Okay,
kind of...
okay.
With Destiny, I'm not going to talk about it unless they do like a big major update. There was a bit of 20-hour downtime because they introduced a new patch. It fucked up a bunch of things, so they had to revert to an old patch. That's neither here or there. Nobody wants to hear me talk about patches, reverting, and all that stuff on Destiny. When there's some good content, I'll talk about it. But Ghost of Tsushima, still enjoying my time on it, enjoying the world itself. I'm on Act 2. You know me, I like doing the side missions and stuff, so I'm helping out a lot of people. I'm enjoying the side missions more on this than I did on Horizon Forbidden West. And the reason being, I think it's because these are short and sweet, whereas the Horizon Forbidden West side mission, I feel like they were too long. It asked me to do a lot of things, travel to a lot of places. In Ghost of Tsushima, especially, I don't know if it's a PS5 thing or something like that, but the fast travel is instantaneous, so you can get from place to place really fast. And the horse travel itself, excuse me, the travel by horse itself is pretty fun, especially seeing the scenery and all that stuff. It feels like you're in a samurai movie, so that's pretty cool. So that's another thing I'm enjoying as opposed to riding some mechanical beast through the desert and through rocks or whatever. So I'm enjoying it. Hopefully, I think I'm nearing the end, but I want to do everything I can to be overpowered and just have all the samurai gear, have all the swords, have all the bows, and all the moves before I get to the end. And then I'm thinking of playing Dead Space Remake. I think that's going to be the next one that I get. I know you were saying you played it last year, you didn't finish it. I am excited that once I finish it and you get back into it, we can do, I know they have like these raids and stuff where you can do groups of 4 and do different stuff. So I'm excited to do that. That's like, I think I feel like it's a good multiplayer thing where you can get a couple people in there and just have some fun. Some good old samurai fun. But you definitely have to get back into the game. It's one of those where you forget the moves and stuff like that. It definitely punishes you because it's very deliberate in the mechanics.
Yeah, that's going to be... I could see that one being a bit tricky to get back into, but now that you're playing it, there's the multiplayer mode. I need to figure out a way to slot that back into my queue because I did really enjoy it. I played it for maybe... I think probably like somewhere between 12 and 15 hours. So I think I still got quite a bit more game to go there. But I really enjoyed it. And it's just one of those things, maybe kind of similar to God of War, where I played it quite a bit and then I just got distracted and just haven't been able to pick it back up. So
that's the goal, man, for 2023. Don't get distracted.
Yeah.
Finish your games and then move on.
Yeah, that's that's a habit of my lifetime, basically, of doing that. So I think if I can get Hi-Fi Rush, because it's the shiny new object, I think I can get through that. And I say get through that like it's like a chore or something, but but I think I could beat that fairly quickly. And then I still got to beat Final Fantasy X, which I think I'm at the final boss. I just need to actually complete it. So
nice, man. Nice.
So if I can get those two out the door, then I think it's either Ghost of Tsushima or God of War that I got to pick back up and beat.
That's, you know what, we should write down all the games we finish this year, and then at the end of the year we'll say it on the podcast like these are all the games we finished. That would be like a good thing to do. So let's start doing that.
Okay. Well, if based on my current trajectory, that list is going to be 0. But
It's
I
not
guess what you're
even
saying is
February yet, so
I'll
you're
have that
good.
motivation.
Yeah. So we can
Okay.
write it down, and to our listeners, if you guys want to write that down, we can take in your submissions and see what we finish at the end of the
I
year. That would
beat
be a
I
good
beat
thing.
Crisis Core this year, so that's my first game of the year
There you
is
go. And
Crisis Core.
I beat Evil West, and I think Evil West. So there you go. We both beat one game this year so far. It's not bad.
Which is probably not that far off from how many games I beat last year. So
All right. The next thing I want to talk about was what I've been watching. First thing, I've been watching that 90s show. I was a big fan of that 70s show. That 90s show just came out on Netflix. It deals with basically Eric's kids and Kelso's kids and Jackie's kids and Donna's kids from the original. It has some other characters. They make some cameos from some of the original characters. In the beginning, it's kind of, hey, these are the old characters, say hello. But once it starts showing off the kids, it's kind of funny. I do kind of want to say I'm watching it just to kind of reminisce on the 90s. I was born in the 80s, and I don't remember the 90s that much. Just remember the 2000s. So it's kind of funny. I want to kind of see what they bring up and stuff like that. And I think that they did a good job. Hopefully Netflix doesn't cancel it like they cancel everything after one season. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of TV shows was Trigun. So usually I wait until the whole season's over before I talk fully about a show, unless I just started watching it. And with Trigun, I just want to bring it up because I know we're big fans of it, and we were worried that it was going to be either bad or it was just going to be the same anime as the first one, and there was no need for it. But I am happy to say that I've watched 4 episodes of it, and I think it's different enough and it's new enough that it deserves a watch from somebody that's already watched it and somebody who hasn't watched it at all. There's a lot more violence to it, which was surprising, but it's not like violence for violence just to show it. I think it does a good job of showing it at the right places and just seeing how violent it is, especially if you know the story of Knives and Vash. So I think you should give it a shot again for Trigun if you're a big fan. If you're not, if you're a big anime fan, definitely check it out. And then the last thing I want to talk about is League of Legends. So it being the new year, the spring split has started, which is basically the first half of the season. So I've been just watching a lot of League of Legends matches. Obviously, the LCK down in Korea, the LPL in China, and then the LEC in Europe, and the LCS in America. Just watching a bunch of League of Legends and enjoying some nice team play, which could not be said of when I play League of Legends, because everybody plays like they don't know each other. So it's definitely better to watch and not get frustrated than to play and get frustrated. What about you? What you been up to, man?
we talked about Hi-Fi Rush already, so I think that's been most of my game time. Which I'm basically saying I actually didn't get a chance to play that many games this week. So, but basically, Hi-Fi Rush on game night, we finally were able to play some Halo Infinite co-op. So that was fun. So we're basically it's the campaign, playing it cooperatively from the very beginning.
Did you have any issues with that? Because I know one of the main things was when it got released, like it wasn't going to have the co-op and stuff like that. So how was your experience? I know you didn't even have the game, so like downloading it, playing, and all that stuff.
It was a little bizarre. It's like not super intuitive how to actually download the campaign to be able to play it. Because so like if you go to the game, like the game store in Xbox, at least for PC, there's like 2 different versions. There's like Halo Infinite, and then there's campaign. I don't know. So I downloaded one of them, and then you need to like download some other stuff to be able to play the campaign. So it was very confusing.
It's a bit like Call of Duty, because in Call of Duty, I think you can download Warzone, you can download the campaign, you can download multiplayer.
I think it's
something
similar to that. I think similar to Gears of War too, in terms of how they manage the downloads. So with Gears of War, at least, it was like kind of somewhat, and it was like a little weird, but you're like, okay, yeah, like they're just trying to manage like install sizes so that if you don't want to play, if you only want to play multiplayer or vice versa, you can. So like I totally get what they're trying to do, but it was just a little weird how they did it with Halo Infinite, and like wasn't obvious to you if you're like actually downloading what you needed. And so I actually gave up on it. I was just like, I can't figure this out. I keep getting error messages, and then a week later, it just like magically was ready to play. So it wasn't, yeah, it was a little wonky, and it wasn't just me. I think, you know, our British correspondent Ollie he was also confused by this. So it took maybe a little bit more effort than we would have liked to get going. But once we were in it, it was, you know, it's fun. It's like, it's Halo. You're just kind of running through levels and shooting shit. It's fun. Like if I was playing it single player, like I probably would have been pretty underwhelmed by the campaign, but because we're doing it and we're just kind of like hanging out and going through it together, it's been pretty fun. But that was our game night activity.
Yeah, I feel like you've been trying to play Halo for like months.
Well, I mean, that was supposed to come out like over a year or
no,
over
but
a
I mean,
year ago, or
in a
like,
sense of like setting up the game night and like, hey, what game do we want to play? And it's like, oh, let's play Halo, and then with the campaign co-op not available day one and all that stuff, it has been kind of annoying. And then like, it's also a big download, and then to coordinate it to play together, like you said, knowing what to download, like it's been a trip.
Yeah, no, it took us multiple weeks just to get coordinated. And yeah, like if you don't have it, it's like a giant download. So it basically takes probably like an hour or more to actually download it. So you know, that's kind of annoying, but we're having a good time. So we'll the verdict's still out whether we'll actually enjoy going through the whole thing together like that, you know. But we had a good first night.
Whether you do it again, that's another story. Yeah, that's why we need these multiplayer new games. Come on, guys, release some more shit.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to say. We did go to a comedy show. So shout outs to our boy Jim. Invited us to a comedy show down on the Lower East Side at the Harry Lemon in New York City. Pretty fun stuff, you know. Pretty good comedian. So that was a face-to-face interaction we had. So that was pretty good this week.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, he asked me after the fact. He was like, "Oh, like, you know, what'd you guys think?" And I'm like, "Oh, I went in not expecting to laugh, and
yeah,
there was quite a bit of laughter." So
the big fans of the show know that Nick is not a big laugher.
No, I'm a big laugher. It's just you never say anything funny.
Oof, well. There you go. Big
Damn,
laugh.
big. I mean, I think I laugh at my own jokes, like for sure. So, but yeah, no, that's fun.
That was a good, fun.
A lot of beers, a lot of
bullshitting,
a lot of bar food.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Good comedians. Yeah, it was funny.
I hope we become big enough where like we get a community meetup and we're just bullshitting with people. That's gonna be great, man.
We could probably do it at that bar.
Yeah, that's true. And most of everybody lives in New York City. So.
Yeah, we could absolutely just go to that bar. I think it's all set up for us, so we could do that.
All right.
And then we just got to make sure that Japanese restaurant's actually open.
Yeah, that was a bad walk. Look forward to that in the future. Pressing buttons, just as you know, we hit 50, maybe 50. Who can say that?
I think at least by episode 100, we could plan on doing some sort of in-person thing.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be canceled at 2 or something. No, but you know.
We weren't going to be canceled. We were just going to give up on it.
That's right. We don't get canceled. We just give up.
Yeah.
You got anything else, man?
No, maybe the only other thing is I did end up watching The Last of Us.
Oh. It had the highest jump from episode 1 to episode 2 in viewers, so that was pretty good. And it got greenlit for a second season.
Yeah,
which is
season.
gonna be awkward if you know how the second
Yeah, like
game
I
starts.
kind of like again. I didn't play. I played most of the first game. I didn't play the second game, but I think like
But you know how
the
it starts.
the
Is what I'm
spoiler.
saying.
Yeah, the spoilers are kind of out there, so I have a pretty good idea what happens. Uh, but
Well, I
yeah,
don't want
I
to say
would.
too much about it, but I do wonder, well, because we talked enough about the Last of Us show, even though we're not a TV show podcast. I do wonder because it didn't receive the greatest reception when it initially released because of what happened, and we don't want to spoil it, but if you know, you know. If they will change it on the TV show, and they have been saying that it's not going to be a one for one, and we've already seen a lot of different changes. So who knows?
They, maybe they take a Final Fantasy VII remake approach to things. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, basically, I was initially planning to just wait until all the episodes are out. But then we really needed a new show to watch, so I was like, let's just give it a shot. So I've been watching it with my wife, and who's actually played. She's played some Last of Us as well, so she's somewhat familiar
Yeah, that
with.
surprised me. I was like, what?
Yeah, I think that was like early on when we started dating, and she was trying to like impress me with.
Good to know you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a gamer girl. I'm like, okay, which couldn't be further from the truth, but
It worked.
yeah, I guess maybe that was. Damn, maybe she baited my ass. But yeah, no. So we just needed a new show to watch, and I knew that I was getting like a lot of positive reviews out there, so we just went ahead and started getting into it. So, and yeah,
What
I
are
guess
your thoughts on it? Yeah.
there'll be another episode tonight. Yeah, I mean it's good. Like it's good zombie type show. I like Pedro Pascal, and I like him a lot. So I think he does a good job. So I really like all the actors. I think are
I think they did a great job.
phenomenal. Yeah, like
Good casting.
really
It's
good
hard to do for a
casting.
video game.
Yeah, like really good casting. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Like I'm frankly surprised by how big the audiences are that it's getting like so early.
I'm also surprised. I think it has to do a little bit with, like you said, it's a new show to watch because I wasn't expecting the audience to be this big, but also like you know how HBO usually has like that one series that everybody has to watch on a Sunday night. They don't
Yeah.
have that right now, and this is taking that time slot, so that definitely helps them out.
Yeah. So, but I think it's good. I think it'll continue getting better. But so
There's
I'm
gonna be a lot of angry people.
yeah. And so again, like I'm enjoying it, but I am like, oh, like it's kind of like a pleasant. It's not like upset about it. Like it's a pleasant surprise. But I'm like, wow, like this is the second biggest show ever on HBO. Like that's crazy to me. But
I think they're gonna have.
good for them.
I think that it's gonna get more divisive than like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. Like, there's gonna be that level of discourse for anybody who never played the game. Like, once the last episode of this season releases and you find out what happens, like, I think that's gonna be on Twitter. Like, oh my god, and people are gonna be like, did you not play the game? So
Yeah.
that type of shit. Well, this turned into a Last of Us kind of thing. But anyways, happy 50th. Thank you for being with us. 50 episodes, baby. Who would have thought it? Nick, it was always his goal. He was like, let's get to 50 first. And I'm always like, we're going to get to 50. Don't worry about it. But I was bullshitting because I always bullshit. But we got to 50.
Yeah, someone once told me that you are basically dog shit at podcasts until you get to your 50th episode. And I'm like, oh, okay, look, that's an interesting benchmark. And I still feel like we're dog shit at podcasts, but
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like you're talking a podcast every episode. So.
yeah. So, but I feel good. I feel like we've
No, it's a huge
made-
accomplishment.
made slow and gradual improvements. If you were to listen to us going back to episode 1, I think you'd be like, wow, they've made some improvements.
Yeah, don't go back and listen to that because Nick sounds like shit. And he hates that.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, 50 episodes, man. Can't wait to do 50 more and get to 100. and then we can have a proper, bigger celebration, obviously. And thanks for sticking with us. Stick with us some more. And that's it for us on episode 50. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Later.